Hello, hello. Welcome for another episode of the Author Spotlight. Hey, it's the host with the most, your man, Darren and Palmer. So excited to be with you today. I have a great guest. We had a great time before we even started the interview. So I said, let's go ahead and start recording this because I don't want the audience to miss none of this at all. Before she come on her own way, I want to share a little bit about Val Neighbors, larger than life personality, which some have compared her hair along with her ability to inspire others makes her a sought after speaker. Val is a speaker, number one best-selling author, and sales geek. I like that. I like sales. Val entered the world of entrepreneurship and quickly experienced success thanks to her ability to connect with people and sell. She ran the complete cycle of business from startup to build to profit and successful exit. She grew her business to six figures in 8 months and 1.1 million in under 26 months. Val is part of only 1.8% of women business owners to have built $1 million business as cited by the Wall Street Journal. Val is referred to as a extroverted introvert. You know, the person who likes to be social on their own terms. Her no-nonsense approach combined with her witty humor puts her in demand as a speaker and a hybrid coach and consultant. Val Neighbors, welcome to the Author Spotlight. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Darren. It's great to be here.
No doubt, no doubt. Now I have to ask you, if you don't mind, explain to the audience, if I left anything out of your bio, please fill in any of the gaps. And if you don't mind, share about your book and why did you write this book?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. So the book came as a result of a couple of things. First of all, I feel that everybody has a book inside of them, whether they believe it or not. I know personally, I've collaborated on 2 books prior to doing the solo book, and I probably have at least 3 to 5 additional solo books inside of me that I need to get out. And so everybody has a message. We want to share it. Everybody has something to say. And whether you write it under your own name or a pseudonym is entirely up to the individual. But really, as I started to think back and reflect upon, my business that I owned, after, when you're in a business, you're doing everything day to day. So you're focused in the business. You're not, you kind of don't know what you don't know. A lot of us go on autopilot. We're trying to figure it out. For me, at the time I sold the business, I had over 250 employees working for me. So I really didn't have much time to think. And it wasn't until after I found out that statistic about the 1.8% of all women-owned businesses, build a business to $1 million or more annually. I went, really? Come on, I'm not that smart. And I did that pretty quickly. Like, what's the deal? And so as I started to do some research and homework, and I, of course, did a lot of, self-discovery and a lot of personal development after I sold my business, which is not typical of what most people do, I realized that I like people in small doses. And then I started to think about, well, geez, everybody's always telling me I'm an extrovert, but I'm really not. People exhaust me. I couldn't figure out why at the end of the day, being out talking to people and selling and, asking questions and providing value and just dialogue, why was I so tired? 7 o'clock at night comes and I literally have drool hanging out of my mouth. So I went on this whole investigative journalist, even though I'm not, a whole investigative journalist, path, and started to do some discovery. And when I started discovering information, I realized that, first of all, statistically speaking, and these are not my stats, these are out there. Don't ask me to quote them, but anybody can Google them, because Google's your best friend. Just go to the 3rd or 4th page of Google. Don't look at the first 1 or 2, because you might not get the information you want, at least accurately. But they say 1/3 to 1/2 of the population really have more of an introvert tendency. So then I started to think, well, that's kind of weird. Okay, so if that's true, well, what's the introvert's role? What makes somebody who has an introvert, foundation, let's say, what makes them successful? So it was then that I went, oh my gosh, introverts have so much to offer to the world, not only as an entrepreneur, certainly as a speaker. Actually, some of the best speakers are introverts themselves, including my mentor, Michael Port. And certainly management-wise in corporations, introverts make very good managers. And often they're not given the opportunity, especially in an environment where there's extroverts, to speak up. So I wanted to, my whole goal was to write the book to say, hey, listen, if you've got an introvert tendency, don't let that hold you back. Don't let that, what the world tells us, we can't be successful if we fit into this box. Don't let that hold you back. If I was able to do it, and, I have some skills, but I'm not a rocket scientist, of course. If I can do it, then a lot of people can do it.
I love that. I love that concept of understanding. But it was a first for me to hear how you, after you sold the business, then you started doing the research. So for those out there who are listening in or watching this episode, make sure that you understand it's never too late to go another direction. And it might not work for you the way that it worked for somebody else. So, find your own beauty, find your own greatness, however that may be. And a lot of us are benefiting of what Val has going on, because she could have said, oh, that's stupid. What, the business is already sold. What sense do it make going back and doing something else? And I also caught that nugget in there as well about who you said that was your mentor. And I know the importance of having mentors and coaches in your lives. And I would want us to make sure that we dive into that. But before we go any further, could you just elaborate a little bit on that, the importance of the right people around you to help you think differently and scale? Do you think that benefited your business to be able to be as successful as it was by having that type of leadership around you?
Yeah, I did. And, I should preface it by saying that, Michael did not come into my life until after I had sold the business. So I met Michael and an amazingly core group of individuals in 2015. And I actually sold the business in October of 2013. So, however, I will say, I owned 2 franchise locations. So for me, to sit and I think it's important that people understand that we all have strengths and then we all have areas. I don't call them weaknesses, because weakness is a very low vibe, I guess, word. And, I say we all have things that we need to improve upon or that aren't our gifts and talents. So then we have to outsource them, to other people. So it's important that we know where we succeed. So for me, buying a franchise was great because I didn't have to come up with a company name. I didn't have to think about software. I didn't have to think about branding and marketing materials. Boom, I drop a big penny, because it's not inexpensive. You drop a big penny and you buy it. So what that also allowed me to do was be surrounded by other franchise business owners who come from all types of walks of life. So there wasn't anybody else who came from within the industry that I came in, which was the same industry I was in, which was healthcare. Everybody else came from outside of it. So they looked to me to help them talk the talk when they're out there, calling on the professionals in that industry. But I also got to learn from them, because these are people who had finance backgrounds, who have HR backgrounds, which were 2 areas that I was not strong in. So it's very important that no matter where you are, no matter what your business model is, that you definitely surround yourself with people who are strong in areas that you are not. And also, entrepreneurship is a very lonely road. I mean, I could go into tell you all kinds of, personal, journeys along the way and pitfalls. And I think probably one of the biggest things that I could tell people is you're never alone. So if somebody steals from you, if somebody lies to you, if, somebody copies your material, whatever it might be, if your marriage is strained or falling apart, if your loved one is sick and you're not able to dedicate 100% into your business, you're not alone. There's somebody else that's either going through the same exact thing right now or who has been through it as well. So it's important to surround yourself with people who can lift you up and hold you up and can complement you, as I said, in areas where you might not be so strong. So Michael and that crew didn't come into my space until after I sold my business, which is why, Darren, I said to you, I didn't I didn't spend time and energy in the personal development world when I owned my business. I did not have a coach at the time that I owned my business. I guess the closest thing I could say that I had to a coach was my attorney and my accountant, because I need to make sure I'm doing things legally. And I also need to make sure that financially I'm doing things according to IRS guidelines, and then also maximizing my revenue and turning a profit as quickly as possible. So, that I think those things are really important for entrepreneurs and small business owners to know and understand.
Wow, wow. And an amazing thing that I'm gathering from what you're sharing too, and I want to make sure those who are tuned in are getting, is the importance of you continue to evolve. You continue to grow, where some people would just acquiesce or go backwards or say, well, I've made it now, or, I sold the business they would have got caught up on last year. You continue to persevere. And so speaking of that, with your busy schedule and all the things that you have on your plate, it's one thing to say, yeah, I see that this is a need, what's going on here. But what made you really believe that you could write a book? Because, doing a franchise and writing a book are two different things. So, I know it can be transferable skills when you look at it, but what made you believe that you could actually write a book when so many have failed at the task?
So here's what I'll say. If you told me today to go sit down and write my book on my own, it would never get done, because I move at the speed of light. My brain moves at the speed of light. It wakes up in the middle of the night and it just starts racing like a freight train going nowhere. I'm like reeling in, dude, like, conductor, go to sleep, go back to bed. It's not time to be awake. So, I knew that I know everybody has a book in them. Whether they choose to write it or not is entirely up to them. My life is very much an open book. I do Facebook Lives. I share things that most people would never think of sharing. I know that people have cringed at some of the things that I've shared, but you know what? None of us are perfect, and life isn't perfect, and why should we pretend to be? We're so consumed with, not to go on this whole tangent, but we're so consumed with my way is the right way. I mean, all we have to do is look at the current environment, of our society and what took place, last week. And it's like, you got people on this side, you got people on this side, and you really don't have any evidence. And all you have are two individuals' words. And none of us were there, but yet we've created this mob mentality. So I think it's important for people to know, like, I want to know things about what it's like to be a person of color. I want to know things like, what is it like to be somebody of a different religion? I want to understand, the difference, those that are different from me, because that's the only way we can grow and learn. So, going back to writing the book, I knew that I wasn't the only one, that experienced the things that I did. And I thought, well, geez, if I can do this and I can share with other people how to do it, then great. Again, if you said to me, Darren, if you said, Val, I'm giving you 30 days to write, I don't know, 100,000 words or something like that, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's not going to happen. Now, if you said to me, Val, go and voice record, your thoughts and I'll help you put it together, then I'd be like, okay, sold, we can do that. So when I wrote my book, I obviously didn't know you at the time, but I had somebody else who pretty much got on and did an interview with me, got all the information out of my head, then transcribed it and kind of put it together. So I think those people who think, oh, I could never sit down and write a book, I say poppycock, to use like a very old English word. I say, talk to Darren and see how he can help you get your book out of you. And I think that's where a lot of people are stuck. They're like, well, I've got this idea. Is it a good idea? And how am I going to get it out? Because I'm not going to dedicate the time that it takes to sit down and actually write. And people think they need to write a novel, and they don't. You chunk down some information, unless you're oh God, what's my dad's favorite author? Stephen King. Unless you're Stephen King and you just can have like stuff just fly out of your brain to write all these novels, you don't have to be like that.
it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be yourself. And I think back to, what you're sharing about. So many people, when they do an initial consultation or we have a strategy session with them, that's the thing that they have in their mind. They still haven't gotten over those paradigms from the 7th grade or when it was in college with the professor. They're still trying to write a book like it's a term paper, or it's midterms again, it's finals. And so they're caught up on all of that with that mindset. I'm like, hey, for one thing, leave that at the door, please, because you'll never get a book done, because that stuff that you're trying to write, the consumer don't want that. They don't want, a research paper that you've done. You're going to make them fall out to sleep. They want something that's viable. Don't even get caught up on that page count stuff. Like, you hadn't even got a title down yet. But, well, how many pages is it going to be? And it got to be this. And I was like, no, it's not it. And just think outside the box. And I love what you brought up, too, about the power of tailoring the process to fit your strengths. So if you are a speaker now, if you're a great writer, then definitely write. And then, do that. But if not, use what you have. I always share with people, do you have a smartphone? If you got a smartphone, record yourself. Let's get these topics down. Record yourself over each topic. Let's get this stuff transcribed, move some stuff around, shift it. Boom, you got a book, you ready to go. And so the thing is getting it out of your head. And Val, I'm seeing the common denominator again of the importance and the power of finding other people that how did you word it earlier? But I'm just going to, I guess I'm going to go with what I think of it. Just finding others who are expert at areas that might not be your forte, so to speak. If it's not your forte, focus on what you do best, and then also have a team of people or people that you can outsource stuff to that can handle that, because that's what they do. And that's what you did. You did it in the franchise business that you have, the two businesses, 2 locations. And also I'm seeing that you're doing it in the book. For those of you out there, don't try to do every single thing. And then you can see that it's not professional. You're trying to edit the book. You're trying to do the interior design of the book. You're trying to do the cover of the book, learn a new program. Look at how much that is costing you. You have to change your mindset and say, hey, it's all right. If I don't do Facebook ads, I can find somebody who loves Facebook ads and work with them to do that and come up with a solution. How can we work this out? I don't have to have Billie Jean or somebody to do it for me right off the bat. It might be some kid, in the basement who know more than me and Billie Jean and everybody else that can help me out with it. So just finding the right people that can put the pieces together in the puzzle, I think, are critical for us. And I want to get to this. I want to be selfish, but explain to us about your sales genius that you have. Like, for you being an introvert / extrovert, a little combination of hybrid, like, how did you understand sales? How did you grow in sales?
Oh gosh, now I got to go back, way back. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think how many years it's been. It's, how old am I? It goes back probably 25 years. I know, and I don't look a day over 26. So how is that possible?
Exactly. Go, girl. Go.
That's right. You have to take care of your skin. That's what I say. Take care of your skin. No more sun. No more sun. I did sun back in the day. No more sun. So I fell into sales. And maybe I didn't fall in because I don't believe there are such things as coincidences. But back when I was about 19 years old, I was working as a receptionist part-time for a computer technology company. And I was going to school part-time for law enforcement because yours truly wanted to go into the DEA, go to Nicaragua and bust the drug dealers. So the drugs didn't come into the U.S. Yes, I know. Crazy. Darren, I got some crazy stories from my younger days. Like,
That's a book.
I was going to say, I did some things that when the police got there, they were like, are you crazy? You could have been stabbed or this or that. I'm like, sorry, it's my righteous indignation. It just kind of took over me. But anyway, I was working part-time and going to school part-time. And the vice president of sales came to me one day and he said, I get a lot of compliments, from our employees, our vendors, our clients on how professional you are answering the phone, how attentive you are to their needs. I think you have a good foundation of what it takes to excel in sales. And I looked at him and I was like, sales? I'm not a used car salesman. And he laughed. He said, you do know I'm vice president of sales, right? I said, well, no offense. I mean, it's good for you, but I don't know about me. So he convinced me to give it a try for 2 weeks and I fell in love. And so I believe that I have some natural abilities, that allowed me to excel in sales. I also worked for a couple of teeny tiny companies by the name of Panasonic and Xerox, which I'm sure nobody's ever heard of them. And they had, and probably still have, very good sales training. So I invested, a lot of time and practical experience in, in becoming a very good salesperson. And one of the things that I tell, entrepreneurs and sales, representatives and managers, whether I'm speaking at a sales conference or I'm consulting / coaching, is one of the keys to being successful in sales is learning how to master the art of conversations as it relates to questioning. Because especially if you have an introvert tendency, the introverts don't want to do all the talking. They want the other person to talk. Well, how do you get somebody else to talk? Well, you ask them a question, you zip your lip, and you let them respond. And you pay attention to what they're telling you, both verbally and physically, both verbally and non-verbally. And then you ask more questions or you get clarification. So as an introvert or, someone who has introvert tendencies, this is a great way for someone to really succeed at growing their business or growing their sales, if they work for a company, growing their sales numbers, which obviously allows them to make more money. So asking a lot of questions. I mean, people think, it irks me when I hear people, in the coaching industry is full of it, oh, sales is icky. Don't be an icky salesperson. Do you want to learn how to not be the icky salesperson? Don't be the slimy salesperson. I'm thinking, listen, if they're slimy and they're icky, they're not going to succeed in sales, which means they're not going to be in it for very long. So let's talk about how to have conversations. Let's talk about how to network, which is a whole nother thing for introverts, because introverts don't dare want to go to a networking event with 60 or 100 people. Even myself, I've turned my car around on my way to an event where I didn't know anybody and was like, I'm not going there because then I'm going to have to make all this small talk and I'd rather crawl under the table and die. So, it's got to ask questions. Sales is wonderful and everybody does it. If they're breathing, they're in sales.
I love that. And that, that's what old Mark Cuban says too, is a secret sauce too, for as any business, you gotta confront sales. And like you said, and change that paradigm again. Hear that stuff that we've been influenced with. We go back to the old car salesman with the cheetah print outfit on, looking like a Mississippi pimp. We go back to that. We go back to that look. And then we thinking to ourselves like, oh man, I'm not that person. But you got to realize you selling every day, whether you're in the classroom, you're selling that you're a good student, or someone should put you on the basketball team or drill team, whatever you're doing, a wife, husband, significant other, partner, your dog, got to show he's a good dog. Everybody is into sales, but that mind frame, it's something that hinders people growth so much, especially with entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs who are watching this show. So understand the importance of asking questions and actually serving the needs of the people that you're working with. So I heard a gentleman share with me, Val, that he never sold anybody anything. And it's like, what is he talking about? Like, he's one of the best salesmen that I know, the period. He got multiple businesses that's on the Fortune 500 and all that. He's done work with them. Thinking like, how could you say that? He said, no, I just gave them what they want. I'm like, oh, okay, then it's a different perspective. And he was going back to what you were sharing. He's like, I asked the questions. I let them know, okay, this is what this provides. And he tell them up front, this might not be for you. So let me hear what your needs are. This is what the services we have. This is what it provides. If it's a fit for you, great. We would love to help you. But if not, hey, because I never sold anybody anything. I just gave them what they wanted or what they needed. And so that changed my mind, and apparently I'm like, wow, that does make sense. So if I'm just up there like a little dog, like a little chihuahua barking and not paying attention and not listening, then I'm actually missing a way that I can serve the needs of that particular person or that group of those people. So even with you being in sales, what would you say the difference would be, because you had the unique experience of working on both sides, I like to call it, from more of a franchise standpoint of a business owner and implementing sales, and you still had to sell, to get contracts, different stuff like that. But at the same time, what has been your experience with the transition from the selling of the businesses and then, I guess, doing a Madonna, reinventing yourself to what you're currently doing right now? What would you say was the difference in the sales piece that you've experienced?
Well, so it's interesting because the coaching industry, which is why I consider myself a hybrid, because I will ask questions and then I will help people kind of self-discover some things, but I also tell people what they need to do. And I'm not the powder puff coach consultant. I'm not going to, if your idea is not a smart idea and I'm pretty sure it's not going to equate to revenue and income coming to your pocket, I'm going to tell you. Now, that's not for everybody, because some people want to hire a coach that just tells them exactly what they want to hear. So I think for me, there's been a challenge because I don't fall into that paradigm of the online coaching space. I don't have this whole funnel. I don't have the sexy, pretty pictures in Beverly Hills laying across a lovely couch with a beach property and a Maserati out front, because nobody can hire a photographer to take those pictures. I don't have that. I don't have that sexy appeal, which I know is not for everybody. And sexy doesn't always get you results. I'm not telling you that I'm going to fix your mindset, which that's like a big thing right now. Well, you're not succeeding, so it's got to be your mindset. Well, how about you don't know the tactical, practical, and logical steps to take to actually grow your business and have the conversations, and it really has nothing to do with your mindset per se. So that's been a hurdle for me because, I'm not going to constantly do webinars where I'm like, come in. I don't do free discovery calls. People say, can I pick your brain? And I say, please don't. I've got two sons. One took one half of my brain. The other son took the other half of my brain. I don't have much left. But if you would like to pay me, for a strategy hour at a very reasonable cost, because I know that there's a lot of people who need help and they don't have $1,000 or $1,500 or $3,500 to pay someone to coach with them. Well, that's great. Let's pick a topic. Let's get on the phone for an hour. Let's strategize. So I can look down on things from like that 50,000 foot view into someone's business, and I can see where there's a disconnect and I can see where there's a disfount. But how do I, my marketing language is not sexy to say, hey, come hire me. And I'm not pulling out my powder puff and my unicorns and powder puffing your nose and putting unicorns over your head either. So it's a challenge because I probably operate much better in the offline space one-on-one with someone than I do saying, hey, look at me, hey, look at me, hey, look at me, hey, look at me online. Because here's the thing. It's not about, hey, look at me. It's about, hey, look at you. Where's your challenge? Where's your obstacle? And how can I help you overcome it? And if I can't, then I got a slew of people who I have vetted, who I can refer you out to at different price points who can help you. So that's probably been my biggest challenge is the not so much the reinvention. I guess it is. My other business was pretty much all offline. I was knocking on doors, versus the coaching space. A lot of it is, let me put posts out online. Let me create this whole funnel, free webinar, yada, yada, blah, 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 which is not the stuff I excel in.
Thank you so much for being transparent. Hey, Val is giving it to us today. Do y'all hear this right now? I'm over here. You see these dents in my head? It's got these value bombs been hitting me in my head right there. I mean, that is great information. So don't take that lightly. Write these notes down because you could be paying for this. She's blessing us today by giving us. And I want you to think about this. And we got a lot in common. Y'all didn't know we was twins. But She's my light-skinned sister. And so, I just want y'all to understand the importance of what are you doing it for? Like some people, like, the phrase that people are using now, you doing it for the gram, or you stunting, whatever you want, whatever lingo you want to do it, or, fake it till you make it, however you want to use it. But you have to, what are you doing when you're looking for people to assist you? Or, like you said, do you want somebody just to pet you and you got a few ideas and you think that you know it all, nobody can tell you anything? So what you really do is come for, for somebody to affirm you and say, yeah, you're a genius. But if someone get in your face and just basically tell you like, hey, you know what? I don't think selling water hoses to third graders is going to be a successful business. Now you're thinking someone's player hating on you. They taking you down. They don't want to see you successful. But no, it's selling water hoses to third graders probably is not a great business idea. And you have to be, faithful, available, and teachable. And that's a different type of fat. So I don't want to get anybody upset, start doing cardio moves while you're looking at the show. But being faithful, available, and teachable is something that you must understand. And you got to think, is it effective? Am I getting results? And I'm with you with that, Val. Like I tell people all the time, I'm not supposed to tell you all this crud and send you a million emails. Like, we get your book done at the end of the day. That's who we are. I'm not a PR firm. You haven't had a book, we get it done professionally for you, where you got all the rights to it. That's what we do. But like you said, the smoke and mirrors, and like you said, and the funnels, I mean, that's for some people, that's what they're meant for. But you have to ask yourself, for those who are tuned in, do you want to get results? This is a woman who have a proven track record that she gets results. So do you want somebody to pat you on your head and whisper sweet nothings to you? Or do you want somebody that's going to give you practical advice, something tangible that you can use and implement immediately in your field to get you where you want to be and reach your goals? And so whether it's publishing a book, or whether it's business, whether it's your health, relationships, spiritual life, whatever that might be for you, make sure that you get somebody in your life that you can actually trust what they're saying, and it can help you. It can help you. It can expedite the process. And as speaking of that and the process, with you being an author, could you share some of the benefits of your book being out that you've experienced, whether it be more speaking engagements, whether it be how your kids view you now, or emails or responses or testimonials? Could you share any of that information with us, with your experience or the benefits of being a published author?
Sure, I can. And, I'll actually, and I don't know 100% of how your business model is, Darren, because it's been a little while since I've looked at it. Because like I said, when I'm ready to pull the trigger, for these next books, you guys are on the top for me to reach out to.
Yay. I'm sorry. I had a moment. I had a praise moment. I'm sorry. It's a little past Sunday, but I had to praise. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, you pray every day. Come on, not just on Sunday. Get it together. So, I think, so let me first start by saying, I don't believe I've utilized my book to its fullest potential in what it could have gotten me. So with that being said, I did not leverage it for the number of speaking engagements I certainly could have. So yes, I got speaking engagements. Yes, the majority of them were paid. However, I could have at least tripled that number had I had a marketing plan on the back end of having the book published. So, that's number one is, whether it's something that you all provide, or you can refer your clients out to. I think that that's a big key, is you have to have a marketing plan at the back end. Like I said, I got speaking engagements because I got to say, hey, I'm a #1 bestseller. I became a #1 bestseller in 3 categories in less than 24 hours. And one of those categories, I was up to my good friend, the amazing author, very talented man, Bob Berg from The Go-Giver. And I actually screenshotted, we were #1 and #2 together. And I screenshotted it and I texted it to him. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, check this out. I'm right next to you. And he was like, wow, congratulations. So my next book, I actually would like to have Bob write, write my foreword or, write something on the book, because again, it gives credibility. I mean, he's like way more status author than myself. So it did increase my speaking. I could have done more. my kids, my older son, who's 16, he's that hormonal age, he rolls my eyes. He's like, oh, yeah, mom. Oh, yeah, my mom's an author. Ugh, and kind of like wants to hide right now. My younger son thinks it's cool when he finds one of the books. He's like, Mom, is this your book? Look, look, look. So he thinks that that's kind of, certainly kind of cool. And yes, I mean, I had people come to me, and hire me to work with me. And it's funny because not that they wanted me to teach them how to write a book. It was more about getting them to the place where they could verbally articulate things like their introduction, their 30 or 60-second introduction, not a pitch, because a pitch means something start being thrown at your head. And I don't know about you, Darren, in the audience, but I don't want anything coming thrown at my head. So don't pitch me anything. Do an introduction. So I did see an increase in business, and, certainly, there's a lot that comes from having a book. And I don't think people realize it's to me, having a book is better than having a business card. And I don't care if your business card is like a paper business card or an electronic business card. Your business card should be your book, period, end of story. And in it, you can sign it, and then you can put your email or phone, whatever other contact information you want in it. So again, to me, with all the money that people spend in erroneous areas of their business, if you're going to do something, stick to the foundation, stick to marketing, which to me is getting your message out in some sort of a print publication, aka book, and learn how to freaking sell. And then hire someone who's an accountant that can help with your financial part of it, and if you're not strong in administrative tasks, hire someone who's a VA to help with the admin stuff. But your book is your calling card. I mean, there's speaking opportunities that you can go, that you can say, hey, I'll speak for free as long as I can sell my book. And then you bring your book. I've done that, where the cases where I didn't get paid to speak, I brought my book. I said to them, if I'll do it for free, especially if it's local to me. If I have to fly, then they're paying to fly me. But if it's local, I'll do it for free as long as I can sell my book, or as long as I can sell a service, a program, or, a discovery call, strategy session, whatever you want to call it. So I'm a big believer in the books. Write a book.
Man, I'm sold already. I'm sold. I think I'm gonna write me another one right now, girl. You inspire me. I'm telling you right now. That's why she's the great saleswoman right there. That's the reason why. And I'm just thinking to myself, when you bring up the opportunities, and that's what I want those who are tuned in, is just to understand the opportunities that can happen, that can be a byproduct of you having that book out there. It's not just about the book. It's not about and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with this either. But the whole book process isn't about you just being in Cabo with your feet in the sand, ordering another Corona or Modelo, or, or a fruity drink. It's not about that. I mean, you can experience that, but it's the opportunities for the doors, the line items, what Val brought up, where someone says, well, you know what, we don't have a budget for a speaker, but we do have a line item where someone gave a scholarship, or it was a donation from a private donor, that this is considered educational material that you don't even know that's available for you. And so I just want to just end before I let Val take us on out of here with, it changed my life with it when a mentor had shared with me, Darren, get a book done. It's great for you speaking, but you need to have a book done as your business card, because it's going to separate you from other people. I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow, what the guy told me. So I'm doing, I'm really not thinking nothing about it. So got this engagement. I'm getting paid, I think it was $2,500 at times. So I'm like, wow, man, I'm getting paid more than a 2-piece from Popeye's Chicken and a roll to come in and speak. So, man, I think like, man, I'm in high cotton, I'm from Texas, so I'm in high cotton, so to speak. I'm thinking like, man, this is awesome. But I had my books at the back. So 600 people in attendance. I'm not going to come up with this mythical number and say that everybody bought. No, everybody didn't buy it, but 300 did at $20 a pop. That's an extra $6,000 that went home for me and my family just because I got a book. So with that, I was sold, because I realized, wow, I made more off the back end with the sales of the book than I did for the speaking engagement. And then that book was the business card that led for other people who were in attendance to say, hey, we heard this guy speak, and they carried it to their superiors. instead of them trying to regurgitate what I said, and the guy like, I don't know, it's Monday morning. What are you talking about? Hey, here's his information, and here's the book of the gentleman that was speaking at this event I was at this past weekend. Boom, and we got so many more engagements after that. So that's just my little testimony, my spiel of what it can do for you. And that's just a little bit. I'm not going to go into everything. But if you don't mind, Val, could you share it to that person out there who they're listening to you and it's like, wow, she's, part of the 1%, so to speak. She's done these amazing things. She's a wonderful mother. She's just doing things that impact their lives across the globe. I see why Val Neighbors should have a book out. I see why Darren should have a book out with him being a business owner. Okay, I don't understand why I should have a book out. I'm in Owensboro, Kentucky. I don't have none of these experiences, but I do feel like I have a story that I want to share. I have an expertise that I want to share in my story. What could you share to that person who's straddling the fence right now, why it's important for them to share their story too?
Talk to somebody. First of all, you made me think about something when you said how many books, how many books you sold at that event. And I don't think people understand just how much when somebody goes and speaks to a group, and I don't care if it's 15 people, 50 people, or 500 people, or 5,000 people even, there's always a percentage of individuals in the audience who want to take a piece of you home with them. Especially if you're delivering content that is inspirational, both inspirational and strategy based, meaning you inspire them, you move them, they feel good, they're like, yes, and you're giving them actual, a couple steps or 3 steps on something they can do to change their life, change their business, whatever your platform is. And this is where the mindset stuff comes in. We oftentimes compare ourselves to others. I've done it. I've been places where I was a speaker, and okay, I wasn't the keynote speaker, but I was one of the, other speakers. And I thought, well, gosh, how can I be a speaker? Because the keynote speaker is, a former Olympian who's now a paraplegic and yada, 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 yada. And my life has never been as hard as, his or her life or whatever it might be. So we start comparing. And the thing about it is there's over 7 billion people in this world. Not everybody is going to jive with my message. Not everybody is going to jive with your message, Darren. Not everybody is going to jive with the message of that, a former Olympian, now paraplegic. So you're doing a disservice to those people who are waiting to hear your story by not showing up and writing your story. Because 5,000 people in the audience, one speaker, not all 5,000 are going to connect with that one speaker, and nor should they. But you may have something that this speaker has, but you tell it in a different way. You have a different inflection. You have different backstories. You have a different warmth, a different credibility, a different creativity, whatever it might be. If you don't tell that story, you're leaving those people that are meant to hear it hanging. We all can inspire somebody else. Motivate? No. Motivation is an inside job. Inspiration comes from many different ways on the outside. So by not sharing, by not stepping into your power, as they say, and taking the step to share your story, to write your book, to get that information that is good and valuable out of your head and onto paper, how many people are missing out on having you help guide, support, or move them into a direction to take action, to change their own life or their own business? That's why they need to write their book.
Wow. I'm going to just say it like this. It's good like Campbell's soup, girl. That interview was good like Campbell's soup. I wish I feel like Donovan McNabb back in the day before he lost the Super Bowl. I need some mom's chunky soup right now after this interview, girl. Fill me up. You fill me up. So,
I'll send you some, Darren, because I'm located in South Jersey, and Campbell's soup.
Oh, yeah. It's right down the road. Yeah, that's it.
I can send you that, and I can send you tasty cakes.
Now look how I'm blessed right now. I got somebody out of South Jersey in the house. I love Jersey people. We're connected, man. It's something about Jersey people. It's something about my Jersey people. I love them. But I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. I know you have quite a bit on your plate, but you took time out to spend with us, and you added tremendous value like I knew you would. And I know if you, some episodes I share this on, but if you didn't get nothing on this episode right here, you got to check your pulse. I mean, you got to check your pulse. I mean, I don't think there's anything else that I could do for you, but if you didn't get something out of this on life, business, parenting, whatever it may be for you, because there was a ton of value added on this particular episode. So, Val, I'm not going to hold you any longer, but I do have to ask you this. How can they connect with you? How can they buy the book? How can they, set up and might have a strategy session or whatnot, or learn about your programs? Could you share that information with our audience?
Sure, absolutely. So I would say, I have to be quite blunt. I'm not looking for any more Facebook friends. So I do appreciate if people want to reach out. They're more than welcome to follow me on Facebook. They're more than welcome to send me a message. However, I'm trying to get my space there a little bit smaller so they can send me. And by the way, I should say, we should clarify. So I was Val Neighbors when I wrote the book. I got married last year and it's now Gallagher. So they can still type in Val Neighbors and it, even my website will point to Val Gallagher, but they're more than welcome to send me an email, which is val@valgallagher.com. And I am on LinkedIn as well under Val Gallagher. So they can reach out in any of those different ways. And I'm happy to have a conversation and talk to people. And like I said, I can, at the very least, I can be a resource to, refer people out if there's something they need that's out of my wheelhouse, because I don't know it all.
I can't believe that, Val. I can't believe it. But I'm gonna take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. But I thank you again for coming on. And I want to tell those who tuned in today that, hey, you are the real MVPs. Remember, if you want change, be the change. Until next time, be blessed and be great.